Hey guys,
I'm Jerry.
I'm Sierra.
We're ladies.
And we tangent. What's up, everyone? Hello. Well,
How we doing?
not great. You want to hear?
I've been waiting to hear. Sierra told me before we even were in the same place that she had a story for me. We sat at lunch. She did not divulge. And so now.
But it has it has me shaken.
Yeah,
so you can tell that it's
Yeah, you've had a lot of anxiety.
Yeah. So I will start. It's even like prepping to talk about it is crazy. So last night we went and saw Wicked.
Yes.
Okay, amazing. Anybody who's listening right now, if you're like, I haven't seen the movie, trust me, we're going to talk for a bit. So just, you don't have to leave right away. We're not going to say anything. But after we saw Wicked, I got home. I was really tired. So I talked to my sister for a little bit on the phone and then brushed my teeth, went to bed. I wake up at 6:30 in the morning. Okay. I'm actually having a dream about something. We were actually at a Mexican restaurant. There's a lot of us. And I wake up out of a dead sleep to boom, 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 boom. And someone screaming for help. A woman.
What?
Screaming for help. And I am fucking panicking. Sorry to start this off this way, but this is what happened.
Well, especially because for those of you who don't know, there was a I survived story that happened in our local town, and Sierra just brought it up last night.
Yes.
Of somebody who near her house was someone attempted to murder this person.
Yeah.
And this person ended up surviving and searching for somewhere for help.
Yeah. So I hear it. I'm immediately awake.
Right.
Fucking sit straight up. I go, Corey. But it's like, I'm so scared and like asleep still that I can't really say his name. And so I get my phone. I'm trying to find my phone. I find my phone. I find my glasses. I'm looking. He's not in bed with me. And I'm like, fuck. Oh my God. So I'm going out there. I put my robe on because I sleep naked. And I'm like, Corey. Literally like this is how I'm talking. And he's sleeping on the couch. Fell asleep on the couch out in the living room. And I said, someone's banging on the door. Someone is banging on the door. By the way, I walk past a mirror while this is happening. And you know how they say, like, you look like you've seen a ghost?
Yep.
Jerry, I was white. I lost all color. I looked like I was dead. Like, I've never seen myself. And my pupils are huge. Because I have not felt that type of fear in a long, like, maybe ever.
Yeah.
I am scared. And so I'm trying to explain to him, like, someone's at the door and they need help.
Did you look at your Ring camera on your phone?
My Ring camera is dead right now.
Oh, no.
And I didn't want to. I'm charging it now. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
And he goes, what? Oh, my God.
So I've been flipping off your Ring camera for no reason.
Yeah.
Damn it. Okay.
So he goes, well, hold on. So we're standing there. I am behind the wall. Looking at my door, just waiting to hear it again. To listen to noises. And he goes, Sierra, the dogs aren't barking. I didn't wake up. Are you sure you heard it? And when I tell you, it was like the most realistic sound I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, I heard it. But then the more I thought about it, the more I thought, but I think the person whose voice I heard screaming help was my sister. It sounded like Taylor screaming for help. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it is a dream or not. And he's like, I think it was a dream. Let's wait here a minute, but I think it was a dream. Meanwhile, I am shaking. Yeah. I'm still shaking a little bit now retelling it.
Yeah.
So he goes to like hold me and I am a chihuahua. I'm just like shaking. I am pale. I am sick. I had to take a Zofran because I was so nauseous. I got so scared. And he's like, I think that it was just a dream. But I was in the middle of another dream when it happened.
Yeah, when a dream woke you up.
And then here's what has me so freaked out. Is that I just talked last week about how I felt like I was potentially haunted a little bit in New Orleans. And I told somebody about that story and I said, but the ghost didn't feel mean. Playful. It felt playful. And they said sometimes spirits can trick you into thinking they're playful, but they're not. So now
you think you have.
I think I have something.
No, don't do that.
Well, I'm so scared.
Don't do that.
I don't know. I've never been this afraid in my life. I am
Well,
I had to tell Jerry.
so don't do that.
Okay. That feeds it?
Your fear?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Your fear, your self-loathing, your
Okay.
depression, your sadness. It's like an energy vampire. It feeds off the negativity.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, but then the other thing I looked up was there is something called hypnagogic, remember jerks, but it's hypnagogic auditory hallucinations.
Yes. Yes.
That you can get upon waking up and falling asleep. It's like
Yes.
that moment between. So I might have been waking up and then that happened as I was upon waking.
Yep.
6:30 is when I wake up to take Noah to school. So it would make sense that my body was trying to wake me up out of that and then that happened.
Did you talk to your sister and see if she experienced anything weird?
I did. I called her and she was like, I'm actually freaking the fuck out right now. I'm so scared. Well, one of the things we talked about was like a very personal thing that happened to her in her 20s while we were on the phone. And a scary thing that happened. And so she's like, I wonder if it's because I told you that story.
Yeah.
That was in your mind, plus the story that I was telling everybody about that girl.
Yes.
Plus, I didn't remember this until she told me about it. Oh my God, because then we started talking about spooky things. I'm sorry, everybody. But my Aunt Lori, who passed away, this was like, she said, this reminds me of Aunt Lori because one time my aunt used to babysit us. So we would go to her house super early in the morning before my mom went to work. And her door would be unlocked. It was the 90s. And we would just walk in.
I love that because it was the 90s is enough of an explanation.
Nobody locked their doors around here, truly.
True. Yeah.
And so my mom would just take off, let us walk in by ourselves, and we'd have to go wake her up.
Yeah.
And one time we woke her up in bed and she goes, come here, let me feel your hand. Grab my hand. And so we did. And then she goes, okay, I'll be out in a minute. She got her robe on when she came out. We were like, what was going on? And she told us that she had had a full dream, but it felt like, she goes, I had a dream where you guys came in. You were like, we're here. She goes, okay, I'm going to put my robe on. I come out and nobody is there.
Ooh.
So she's like, I just had to make sure you were real this time. That's why she felt our hand. But the other thing is, then she reminded me that she did have someone in the middle of the night come to her door. I think while me and Taylor were spending the night, but I can't remember for sure. Bang on her door screaming for help. And it was a neighbor whose husband had beat her up.
Oh my God.
And she was like, I need help. I need help. And so my aunt let her in and they called the police.
Oh my God.
But I was thinking, so then me and Corey had to have a whole talk this morning where we were like, what would we do? Because in my mind, I was like, I'm not opening that fucking door.
Well, that's the thing.
I'm so scared.
Sometimes it's a trick.
That's what I thought immediately in my
like
mind.
Strangers.
I remember thinking this is a trap. Do not open that door. It's a trap. And that's why I was so scared because I was like, Corey, don't open that fucking door.
Do you remember when we were in Florida and it was, don't open the door.
Yes.
Don't open the door. They're not who they say they are. It's happening again.
I know. So anyways, I've been like kind of fucked up all day from it.
Eesh.
Like actually fucked up. So anyways.
You know what's funny about this? This actually kind of ties into something that I was going to tell you.
Oh, okay.
So I have a lot of stress dreams.
Yeah.
Like pretty frequently. And so much to the point where like I don't even question it. The stress dreams are always like some kind of a horrific natural disaster.
That's why I had 3 stress dreams. Then when I fell back, because we had to postpone, that's why you were like, can we record at 1? And I was like, can we make it 2? Because I had just fallen back asleep at noon. I needed like a nap. I was so tired. And
I need to sleep because I'm scared.
I was just freaked out. And I thought it would help my anxiety. But I had 3 stress dreams in that time. And I was like, oh my God. One was a building falling over. That's my biggest stress dream, is that a building will fall over. I'm afraid of falling. And it was really windy and the wind knocked the window out of a fucking tall building we were in.
It's always like
tornado started going down. Anyways, sorry.
I've had a lot of tornado dreams recently, and I've had dreams of shootings recently. I've had dreams like where I'm being hunted. Like I specifically am the target of something, and it happens so frequently that I almost don't get scared. I just like accept the fact that I'm going to wake up tired because I'm definitely not resting during those dreams. And Brady wakes up and he rolls over and he gives me a hug and he goes, I had the scariest dream. And I was like, you did? What happened? And he goes, well, there was a bar behind our house and we were there. And Corey and Sierra were there. My parents were there. Like everyone was there. And then I went and I got the bill and it was like $2,500.
That is so fucking scary,
and I said,
dude.
I'm not paying for that.
I can't. That's too expensive.
And I was like, okay. And he goes, yeah, it was just a lot of money. And I found out that like no one else paid their bar bill either. And because it was so much money. And so like we agreed.
That's valid.
We agreed we were never going to go back to the bar again. But I told him I wouldn't pay for it.
Yeah.
And I go, and then what? And he was like, that was it. And I go, that was the scariest dream you've ever had?
In this economy, Jared? Yeah.
I was like, are you fucking crazy? I just was shot at in my dream.
And you just wake up like,
I had assassins on my tail for the last 8 hours. What? Brother, what?
Dude, well, that's Corey was like, Sierra, you reminded me of a little kid having like which I don't know if I've talked about it on here. I feel like I have, but I used to have night terrors.
Yes.
Really bad. And that's the only thing that I can equate it to is like that feeling of you feel like whatever that was just very real.
Yes.
I actually couldn't.
I'm sure there's a part of you that still is convinced that something.
Well, I woke up and went and checked my porch for blood or handprints or something.
Yes.
Because I was that fucking sure that it actually happened.
Yeah.
Like, I am still not 100% convinced it was a dream.
Yeah.
And that freaks me out. And then I started thinking, like, because one of the things I never talked about, which I probably should have last week for functional freeze, was on top of the seizures that I was having, the physical symptoms,
Yep.
I started having visual
Hallucinations.
and auditory hallucinations.
Yeah.
And so I started being
You've
like,
talked about the shadow people that
Yes.
you started seeing.
but I also was hearing things, mostly my name. And
Yeah.
I think I might have talked about that on here. I'm not 100% sure, but that was the closest thing I can equate it to because I was like, am I starting to have hallucinations again? And if so, that's really scary because you start to you feel like you're crazy because you don't know what's real. Like, again, I'm sitting here like, I know that was a dream, but I'm still like, but what if it wasn't?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was or not. It sounded so real.
With stuff like that, I divert to my pets.
Yeah.
So if my dogs don't react,
that is,
if your cats don't react, if they don't
listen,
react.
my dogs bark over everything.
Borderline nothing at all.
Yes.
So
the fact that all 3 of my dogs were silent,
Yes.
Corey, who was sleeping right next to the door, didn't hear it,
Yeah.
but he heard me yelling his name
Yeah.
and woke him up immediately. I feel like he would have heard that. So that is helpful. But then that's also almost worse. I almost wish it was real because I'm like, I don't like that it was an hallucination.
Yeah, but it was when you were asleep.
That's true. It could just be like
Yeah.
dream one.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was, look at you just cuddling the
I was,
blanket
like,
so close to you.
I can't even explain to you how much it kind of fucked me up today.
Well, I'm sure.
I almost was like, which this is a Sunday, so we have no other choice but to record today. But I was almost like, I want to just sit in my bedroom, and, like hide. I'm like scared
a
today.
mental health day.
Yes, it fucked me.
Unfortunately,
up.
we've taken too many of
We
those,
have.
so we have to record right now.
Yeah, which is fine. I will be fine. But anyways, if anybody's experienced that, just know you're not alone. And also, if anybody could tell me how they got that to stop, I would like to never have that again because I am now afraid to fall asleep.
Well, try not. Were you sleeping on your back?
I can't remember. I think I might have been.
Okay. Well, that makes it worse.
Yeah.
That makes it worse.
I definitely didn't fall asleep on my back.
Did you eat or drink before you went to bed?
No.
Did you have any alcohol?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we went to the movies, to be
Yes.
honest, so that
Yes.
could have been.
But I didn't know if you continued when you got home.
No.
Okay.
No. So I would have stopped around like 8, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe earlier.
Still could have. So it could have been in your system.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I drank water, but
I
that
don't know
was
if
it.
that gives you.
I think I've just had.
spookies.
I think I've just had stress.
Yeah, you have had a lot of stress. It's the holidays.
It is, and it's just residual. I'm an empathetic person, so people around me experiencing stressful situations, I feel like I'm like I absorb it a little bit.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's what happened to me.
Oh, that's scary.
It was.
That's scary, but I'm happy that it was nothing.
Well, yeah,
But I don't know.
I'm still like
I don't know that I would say I'm happy it was something. I don't
Yeah.
think I would say that.
No.
So
I would rather it be a dream, but it did fuck me up. And I just want to know. I kind of want to know what the fuck it was. And now I feel like I have to sage my house, and I hate that.
Oh, yeah. Well,
So
don't feed into the idea that it's a negative entity.
No, I don't think it is. I don't believe in that stuff too much anymore. I don't think that it's...
Well, don't challenge it. certainly don't.
I didn't think it was with me right now. I know. It's probably with Corey.
Great. It's with your kid. Okay.
Goddamn.
It's with old Toe Tickler.
That motherfucker. Speaking of both of those, not anything. This is just a silly story that I think you'll find funny. I already told Jerry, but it is funny. It's a reminder that I have to watch what I say because my child is 3. We were watching I think Moana. She really wants to see... So she doesn't say Moana.
Uh-huh.
She'll sing the song where she goes, I am Moana. Uh-huh. Sawyer will belt it. That girl is going to be a theater kid, I'm telling you. She will belt it and she goes, I am the Wana. So she wants to go see the Wana too. Like, it's the Wana for her. And we were watching the Wana 1 to prep her for it because I do want to take her for her first movie. And our internet's been kind of fucky recently. I don't know why. And so it started like lagging and there was just that circle that goes across the screen. And she goes, what the fuck? I said, hey, what? You can't say that.
Whoa.
What the fuck?
Did I tell you that Forrest sat on my lap when I was editing the one day?
Oh, and I was saying, yeah.
He was like,
you can't live.
Why Cece say what the fuck? And I was like, well, certain words grown-ups say quite frequently. And then you know it, bitch was another thing that you had said during an episode. And he was in the car and I turned it off really fast. And I was like, are you ready to go into school? And he goes, you know it, bitch. And I was like, don't.
Hell yeah, motherfucker.
No.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'll stop.
Yeah, no,
I can't.
That's my fault for allowing him to sit on my lap while that was happening because I think he won't repeat it. And so he'll do this thing where he goes, grown-ups say fuck.
Yeah.
Kids aren't allowed to say fuck. And I'm like, you're right. So how many times are you going to say it now?
And that's what I told you. Noah said. When Noah was like 3 years old, he was like, my friend said a bad word. Am I allowed to tell you what it is? I was like, well, what does it start with? And he was like, an S. So I think it's going to be shit.
Yeah.
Shut up. Stupid.
Yeah.
And he said, shut the fuck up. Oh my God.
Technically, that does start with an S.
You're not wrong, but damn. I was like, yep, don't say that. Yep, don't say that.
Ollie the other day, this is not a curse word, but we were making monkey bread. First of all, I handed them the stuff to make the monkey bread, and as soon as I handed it to him, he sneezed directly on it. And I was like, disgusting. I have to watch this, and also go watch yourself. But after we made it, he took a bite, and I was like, so what do you guys think? And he goes, it's dough-mazing. Get it? Because it's made of dough. I was like,
we love a punny kid.
Good job with that. So anyway.
Okay, so we went and saw Wicked.
We did. And sorry if you hear me like sniffling a lot. I'll try and cut as much out as I possibly can, but I am overcoming sinusitis.
Yeah.
Remember when I was like, that's stupid, it's supposed to be sinusitis? I still double down on that. I think it sounds better. But yeah, I got a bit of a sinus head cold happening.
Yeah, it's yucky.
So if you're like, you sound like horrible.
Sorry, it's hey, whatever. It's fucking November in Ohio. What do you want from us?
Yeah. Oh, hear my battle cry, my battle sniffle.
Speaking of battle cries, Wicked. First of all, what everybody needs to know is I went in
anything about it.
I went in blind.
Same.
I went in fully blind. I've barely watched. Actually, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, but my mom uses it to make fun of me all the time. I wouldn't let anybody watch The Wizard of Oz around me when I was little because I was fucking so scared of the flying monkeys. Those flying monkeys scared the piss out of me. And my mom would be like, we'd try to turn on. We'd be like, let's watch Wizard of Oz. And Sierra would be like, no! Like, I would freak out.
Interesting.
I hated the flying monkeys.
Interesting.
Not the Wicked Witch, though. Oop. It's almost like I knew. Maybe she was like, oh, I felt a connection.
Maybe, yeah.
But the monkeys? No. I was like, that's unnatural. I don't like how they're flying like that. That freaks me out. And so I've never seen Wicked. Now, I told Jerry that this is like Corey's favorite musical. He was upset that he couldn't go see it. It was honestly, it was such a Sophie's choice for him.
Yes.
Ohio State Michigan football game or Wicked. And then that kid, he is a sports theater lover, so he really couldn't pick. But eventually he picked, well, he said it was going to be a game time decision whether he came with us. Based on how Ohio State was doing. And then I was like, game time decision, babe. We bought the tickets. What are you talking about? You're not coming.
You're not coming with us.
I made a decision. And it's like, you're not coming.
Partway through the movie, there was an empty seat next to me, and she goes, turns out Corey could have come.
I didn't tell him.
But fuck him.
I didn't tell him he could have came. I did tell him that I would go and watch it with him. But I understand why he loved it. His mom loved it. Like, people who love theater, and not even like, I'm not even into musicals like that.
Yeah.
But the production, the costumes, the fucking everything, incredible.
I didn't know anything about Wicked, the musical. Like, I didn't know about the storyline whatsoever. Same. I kind of understood that it was Glinda and the Wicked Witch of the West, Elphaba. I kind of understood that it was like their younger storyline.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what it was about. And I had sang popular. We'd sang it in choir.
Yeah, high school.
And I think we sang Defying Gravity. And
I didn't. That might have been show choir. I never sang
I don't
Defying
know.
Gravity.
I don't know. Sometimes I sang along with choirs I wasn't in.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Fair.
But I knew some of the songs, but I didn't know any of the storyline. So I kind of went in blind. And for whatever reason, when I watch some movies or some musicals, whatever, I try and figure out what character I am and then watch it through their perspective as if they are playing out a storyline of my life.
Sure.
And I was really upset because I was like,
immediately she looks over to me immediately and she goes, fuck, I'm Glenda. Immediately.
Fuck, I don't want to be Glenda. But now I really don't think that I am.
No, well, I think that there's characteristics of, I think that's kind of the point of movies, is that you can see yourself in a lot of characters.
Yes.
I see myself in Bach, motherfucker. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to be labeled one specific thing.
Well, I think that's why I expected myself to cry during it, and I didn't at all.
I did.
I know you did.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think it's because I wanted Glinda's storyline to be more of what I would have done, but that's just because I don't think I aligned as closely with her as I thought that I would.
Well, maybe in the origin stories, like they're first starting out, there was more of I had a very Elphaba upbringing. I'll say that.
Yes.
And I feel like maybe you had a Glinda upbringing.
Yeah.
Maybe. But we didn't get to see her upbringing too much.
No. And like, I think the only reason that I kind of resonated with Glinda was just because of the comparison with Elphaba.
Yes.
It was like Glinda was put up on a pedestal a little bit, and then people just like praised her all the time, being like, you're such a martyr for befriending Elphaba or like letting her room with you. Sorry if there's spoiler alerts, but this is a movie based on a musical that's been out for 30 years.
So yeah, apologies.
How they just kind of like complimented her for almost doing nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
And I kind of understand what that's like.
Bare minimum compliments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it felt like I would get compliments for things, except where Glinda was like, oh, I think she liked it. I never really liked.
Yeah. There was like
being on the receiving end of it.
Yeah. I will say, can I just pause for a minute? Mm-hmm. Ariana Grande fucking killed that role.
Phenomenal.
And I've seen that because there is a TikTok that went around. I didn't realize this. So everybody's kind of got their own thoughts about what happened because in the interviews they're always crying and they're touching each other. They got 8 matching tattoos.
Yes.
Yes. It's like a trauma bond that happened. Yep. However, if you really look at it, at least I don't know that much about Cynthia.
Yes.
I wanted to say it correctly. I thought that was it. But she is English, so I wasn't sure. Ariana's upbringing, she went and saw that at 10 years old with her grandma and was obsessed. There is a montage of her singing songs from it. Like, she loved Wicked.
Yep.
And I saw a video where they tell her, you got the part.
Where her dog's barking so loud.
She's like, shut up. And then they're like, you got it. And she cries and she's like, I'm going to take such good care of her.
Yes.
And I was like, And you did. And you did.
Well, do you know
you did. And you did.
Because she's been method acting for years.
Really?
So the reason that her like hair changed, her face like kind of changed, the way she
was
spoke
like trying
changed.
to get into character.
Yes. She was like, I need to live my life as if I am Glinda in order to really do justice by this character.
Girl. And she did it because
so fucking good.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was like, you don't want to like her, but she is likable.
Yes.
She is likable in the character that she is. Like, I know you're not supposed to.
Yeah. If anything, she represents a lot of stuff that people look at and are like, that.
I don't like that.
Yes.
But she is so fucking likable.
Her.
She is a comedic relief in so many scenes. She is just, she just made me want to be like, I was like, oh. I feel like if you were any other way, I'd be like, this is a bitch that I would have hated in high school. But I'm like, God damn it, I want to hang out with her. She's funny.
Yes.
She's that girl that doesn't know she's funny, but she's funny.
But she's not trying to be. It's definitely not on purpose.
She's not.
But if you laughed at her, she wouldn't take offense to it.
No, she's just like, okay. God, she was really good in that role.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's all I wanted to say about that part, at least, specifically.
I thought about it today. And I got emotional on the way here because I was listening to Defying Gravity on the way here because that's arguably my favorite song.
It's a good one.
We also sang For Good, I think, but For Good isn't in this movie's split into two parts. So normally I
didn't know that going into it.
Normally the musical has an intermission and then a part two, but because it's a movie, they aren't putting the second part out until next year. It's already filmed.
Yes.
But
which by the way. Just a little trivia, because I looked up the trivia, because that's what I do after movies. They sang all of their songs live.
Yeah.
Live.
Yep.
And there was a point, I think I screenshot it, but maybe not, where the production person who was in charge of that was like, I think that you probably shouldn't sing these live, because, let me see if I have what specifically he said. When we were shooting, those girls were like, fuck the pre-records, we're going live. John M. Chu, was initially skeptical of this since there would be, quote, a lot of wind in their air pipes as they performed the more complex sequences, like Defying Gravity, because she did all of her own stunts and everything.
Yes.
And sang during it while maintaining their singing voices. And both actresses simply replied, yeah, that's what we do. And fucking did it.
Cynthia Erivo was up. And she was running.
Yes.
She was running. She was doing crazy workouts in order to be able to sing and do that at the same time. Yep.
Girl. Oh, she killed it. That gives me fucking goosebumps when I realize that. That's insane.
I can't imagine being in that room while they are live singing those songs.
I get why they get so emotional, because I could get emotional. Like, I'm not an emotional person, and there were moments in that where you saw me, I was fucking like, I'm crying. I was looking at everybody like, look what's happening. But like that, it's emotional. Yep. The movie's emotional.
This might be a spoiler. I mean, again, this is a musical that's been out for 30 years.
Right.
And it is a precursor to The Wizard of Oz.
Because it's also a book that's been out for longer than 30 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, it is a precursor to the story of The Wizard of Oz. Yes. And we all know, I think that we all know the wizard is a crook.
Yeah. He's not real.
He's not real.
Yeah.
And
that movie's been out, by the way, for 85 years.
That movie
came out in 1939.
Is crazy.
Well, that movie I won't watch.
Problematic.
It's insane.
But I was driving here listening to Defying Gravity, and the part that rips my fucking heart out is something has changed within me. Something is not the same. That I realized that the reason I felt so connected to Elphaba is because she went there with this purpose of being like, this is all I've ever wanted.
Yeah.
You are this person to me that I've looked up to that can make dreams come true, that can change my world. And I want to be here with you. I want to be a part of that with you. Mm-hmm. And then she gets there and she's like, you're not at all who you said you were.
Yeah.
This is not at all what I expected. And now not only do I not want to be here with you, but I don't stand for anything that you stand for. And I will not stop until, and this is not me saying that about my marriage. This is me saying that this is Elphaba's experience with the wizard. I'm not going to stop pursuing the right thing.
Right.
Regardless of you.
Yeah.
And what you now think of me because of it. And there was a lot of parallels.
Interesting.
That I felt when I realized, like, when I decided to leave my marriage, it was like something has changed.
Right.
In me.
Yeah.
I'm not the same. And they say that nothing, in the movie, they say nothing brings people together like a common enemy.
Yeah. Oh. Ooh!
And she knew that she was that common enemy.
Yeah.
And she didn't care.
Yes. Well, I was going to highlight that part as well, but yeah.
And
in a different way.
in a personal way, I have felt like such a villain. And it wasn't until I saw her be like, make me the villain then. And I know I've said that before, but sometimes I can feel it in one moment and then it goes away as quickly as it came, that feeling. But when I saw her say that, and then she was like, if you care to find me, like, I'll be out here.
Right.
And I'm going to be doing everything that you said that I couldn't do.
Yeah.
I'm going to be living a life that you said that I couldn't live. And I'm going to be doing it regardless of how you see me. And it like smacked me in the face.
Yeah. Wow. Damn. Goddamn.
And I think that could register for people not only in marriages, but I think it could register for people with complicated parents relationships or siblings or toxic work relationships.
Yeah, 100%.
But also this musical is political.
Yeah.
And that's not an interpretation. The writer of the book, the writer of the musical.
Yeah. It's not hard when you see it to understand that that's the message they're trying to convey.
They've vocalized that that's what it is.
Yeah.
That was the purpose in writing it.
Right.
The man who wrote the book was witnessing what was happening in the 1990s with Iraq and Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
And some of just like the absolute evil that was being experienced in the world.
By the way, as somebody who I read the book in high school, so I don't remember it that well. I will say that. I actually can't remember much of it at all. However, what I do remember is they made this movie PG. That book is
not
graphic.
Yeah.
Anyways, go on.
They've said like that there's not trigger warnings for the movie, but there are plenty of trigger warnings for the book.
Because let me tell you something. I don't know if you know this, but this was the one thing I remember, that the teacher, who, spoiler for the movie, they like haul away.
Yep.
He is brutally murdered in the book. That's how that happens. It's not that he's just like taken away.
Yeah.
And that's she, again, spoiler, but that's what she makes her name Glinda instead of Galinda for that reason.
Yes.
But anyways, that's like one stark difference. So it is very, I can see how it would be because of war things that they are.
Well, right. And he said, the writer of it said that, well, he chose Elphaba as the name because of
LFB.
Because of the creator of The Wizard of Oz.
Yes, I
as
knew
a
that.
Tribute to him.
Because his initials are LFB, so he said Elphaba.
And he said that after witnessing what was happening in politics and what was happening with Iraq and Saddam Hussein, and then there was a brutal murder of a little boy. And he said that if I don't write about the evil that I'm witnessing, that like I will go mad about this. And so I just need to put it down on paper. And actually, Elphaba was not supposed to be a heroine.
No.
When he first wrote it.
Oh, yeah.
His intention was to just make her
the evil.
Just say that evil exists and it exists in pure form and that is what it is. And he said, but throughout writing it, that she won him over.
Yeah.
And that he needed to get out of his own way and let her story unfold as it was meant to be. So then she ended up becoming this heroine, and he realized that it's more complicated than what he had originally set out to write. And I think that we don't want it to be political.
Yeah.
But
that's what everybody in our comments is like, politics again. It's like, well, this is living life. That is a integral part of it.
Right.
Politics is in the arts. Politics is in music. Politics is in education. It's everywhere. I'm sorry.
Well, the Wizard was
entertainment.
The Wizard was inspired by Bill Clinton and George Bush.
Yeah,
there were other
sense.
people as well, but those were two characters that they pulled from because
hey, it's when I read that where it was him saying we need to have a common
enemy.
And it's basically this thought of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of a situation, you know what I mean? Where it's like, hey, as long as we have a common enemy together, then we can band together. And guess what, guys? Guess what? Politicians do that to us for a reason.
It's a means of control.
Why do you think? Yeah, because then it's us versus us and not us versus them. Then we don't realize the actual people who have all of the power.
Right.
Which is not just politicians, it's also billionaires. It's also the wealthy elite.
Yeah.
If we actually looked at who is controlling how we live our day-to-day lives and we banded against them, it's way too powerful.
Well, one of the things they talked about was after 9/11, Bush talked about, the war on terror. And so like, who is that then? And
who?
There was this, basically if you were,
what are you fucking out?
It was basically Muslims. If you're Muslim, then you're automatically branded.
And by the way, that also just kind of branched out to brown people.
Yes.
Then because it was like people couldn't tell the difference because ignorance. But especially if you had any kind of hijab, any kind of like anything that didn't look like you were just wearing a white person with a baseball cap. Okay, they were like terrorists, right?
Yes.
Even still, I watch people at airports get treated differently.
Yes.
And it might not be by TSA, but it's by the people around them staring at them and it had such a lasting effect. That it like,
well, I mean, just in 2020, whenever COVID happened, Trump was trying to put the ban.
Yeah.
It was a Muslim ban on flying.
Yeah.
So like, it's still happening, and also, this is kind of a correlation to the musical. Spoiler again: the flying monkeys were being used to spy on people, and there's this question of like, why are we spying on people? Like, what is that for?
Yeah.
Well, what did George Bush sign into action? Well, it's the Patriot Act. I am now able to surveillance all people in America under the guise of I'm just trying to make sure.
I'm trying to make you, hey, I'm
that
trying
none
to
of
keep
you are terrorists.
Safe. I have your best interest at heart.
I am
also
now compromising your civil liberties.
Complete control and power over you. But it's for your own safety. Don't you thank me? You should thank me for that.
Yeah. So it's hard to talk about Wicked
without making it a political piece, which it is.
Because it is. Because it is.
Yeah.
I told Sierra
there's politics in the arts. There's history in the arts. That's just a fact.
That in it wasn't in the movie, but in the musical, there is. So if you don't know, when George Bush was first elected, he was running against Al Gore.
Yes.
And there was
climate change.
In Florida, there was 0.5% difference, 600 votes.
Oh my God. Honestly, it was fucking bullshit.
Was so close that they demanded a recount. And
because Al Gore won the popular vote, motherfuckers.
The Supreme Court stopped the recount and then gave it to George Bush. And so they stopped calling him the president-elect and called him the president-select.
I didn't know that part.
They called him a selected official instead of an elected official. And so in the musical, when somebody becomes, this is in the second part, we haven't seen it yet, but somebody becomes in power and they call that person the selected official instead of the elected official. And also when there is that overturn of power, they call it a regime change, which is what Bush called it when he killed Saddam Hussein.
Yes.
And so even though it just highlights the complexity of our involvement in foreign policy, which again, I can't claim to know a whole lot about.
We were children when that happened, but yes.
But it is, we went after them saying that they had weapons of mass destruction and nothing was ever found.
So interesting.
Why did you do that? What was that done for? And now you're also surveillancing all of these people. What's that done for?
Also getting oil.
Yes.
Isn't that interesting?
So that's why it's like this wizard who has this big face and it says, well, people come to expect this.
Yeah.
You have to do what the people expect you to do.
Yeah.
And you just have to basically appease the masses rather than do what's right.
Yeah.
And it's easier to just go along with it than it is to be the person now that everyone is after.
Be a good person? I don't know. Hey, let me just say, not to get, you guys are going to turn us off here soon.
Wait. I already know. No, come back.
That's why I have such a big issue with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And it's because he's not just a president. He's become he is a celebrity, but he's become this larger than life fake head of a person that people are almost worshiping, actually worship. And I'm not even saying that to be dramatic. I can show you guys a picture. There is a house 2 streets down from my house in my neighborhood that they have signs up with Bible verses and Trump quotes. It's their whole yard is these signs. It is like borderline psychotic. It's crazy. My son goes to middle school with kids who are flying a flag with that person's name on their bikes.
Yep.
On their bikes. He's not a celebrity. He's not he is a politician. It is so, that part of it makes me feel bizarre because here's the thing. When it comes to celebrities, when they have that sort of status, it's one thing to wield, have a fame and money.
Yep.
But when you have fame, money, and power over people, you have all 3.
Right.
That's a very fucking scary combination. You have people their undying devotion to you. That's a fucking scary combination.
Well, and that's what the wizard represents.
Exactly.
All of these people are so grateful for him because where would they be without him? And this promise of what he'll provide.
Yes.
I'm going to read something that one of the cast members from the original Broadway Wicked cast said. He said, talking about the wizard, I can be a winner in my other life. I was not a winner, but I can convince people who don't know anything about me really that I am a winner. Mm-hmm. He said it becomes about winning when you don't have a moral compass.
Yep.
And if you can, why wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. So it's crazy to think that this is something that's endured the test of time because it's a history that repeats itself.
Yeah.
And so those signs, that flag, it just becomes about saying, I'm a winner.
Yes.
Look, I'm a winner. You don't know anything about me, but you know that I'm a winner.
Yeah.
And you know that I'm going to keep winning.
And look at this devotion I have towards me.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this undeniable devotion I have.
And I think if you're gonna talk about Trump specifically,
well, he's the only one I've seen it with in the last 20 years.
In another life,
or
he
ever.
Was what? A fraud?
Yeah.
He had left so many people unpaid when they worked for him. He had a university that scammed people out of money.
Adulterous affairs. He was a cheater.
He has criminal allegations against him. He's so in his life outside of being a politician.
That's not even before he got into politics.
That's what I mean. If you take a look at what he's quote unquote achieved, is that success?
Yeah.
Are those achievements? Because if
are those things you want to show your children are on the moral compass of we want to achieve this?
Would you feel like if that was you, would you feel like you achieved greatness?
No.
If you scammed people out of a bunch of money and you were under investigation by the FBI and you had ruined your marriages with adulterous affairs and you were also being accused of rape and all of these other things, would you feel proud of what you did? No, but now in this other life where I'm
a winner.
I'm a winner. Mm-hmm. I'm a president.
Mm-hmm. I'm the highest of the high.
I'm speaking for people who believe in me and believe that I represent something that my past doesn't necessarily show.
Yeah.
Like, that's how we can. He reinvented himself.
Yeah.
Like the wizard.
Yes. And by the way, if you're feeling some type of icky way, just know that if you're like, well, you need to do this to all politicians. Again, in my lifetime, I've never seen this type of, and but it's just cult-like devotion to a figurehead,
well, and
a politician.
Here's what I'll say
Not
about that
ever
too.
Since in my 33 years of living, never. I've seen people like a person.
Yep.
I've seen people vote for a person. I've never seen somebody make it their whole personality.
Right.
And there are people that are like, I saw somebody have an ornament that said "Daddy's home" with his face on it.
Ooh.
That's weird. Stop. That's weird.
Here's how I feel about politicians, because someone who knows that I voted for Kamala Harris was like, well, you know all the wrong she's done. Okay, here's my thing. I feel like I could say to her, I disagree with what you did here. I disagree with your policy here.
You could bring that to Congress and say it in front of a lot of people.
And she would receive it.
And be met with at least trying to receive it.
Do I think it would change anything? I don't know. But I think it would be at least received. And to me, if you are willing to receive feedback and criticism in a respectful way, then I don't need to see eye to eye with you on everything. And that's the same thing with our audience
to us
and vice versa. You guys know that we're open to receiving information.
There are things we hold firm on, and it's obvious. But we've received numerous criticisms, critiques, that we've accepted and changed because of. Yeah. Not a problem.
The thing. I don't expect everyone I give a critique to then bow to what I say.
That's crazy.
But I respect the fact
at least want to be
there
heard.
Can be a discourse about it. You know what I mean?
Be heard. Because guess what? The back and forths we had in our Instagram, do you think he's had any back and forths on social media with anybody?
No.
That's just like, that would be me going to him and being like, I don't like that you said this. You sound condescending. Do you think that he would explain himself to anybody the way that we did? No. And not that we had to either, but like, I want you to know that I do care that you feel that way.
Uh-huh. And one could argue that the wizard got pushed into being a big, hard
that's why that's why I like these backstories, because I think not that we need people to be like sympathizers. Fucking, how about we were like watching the previews and I was like, oh, look at the Mufasa movie. And Jerry goes, yeah, I think they're going to make us Scar sympathizers. I don't know if I want to see it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I get it. But it's like, I feel like this made me an Elphaba sympathizer.
Yes.
But at the same time, if you're only hearing one story, which is this person is getting painted in this horrific light.
Right.
Then like I want to hear the other side of the story. Now, when it comes to politics, it's pretty obvious to see both sides. Well, for me at least, I could see both sides.
And also it's
because I don't really have anybody that I'm that devoted to where I'm like, I'm not going to challenge your ideals.
Elphaba doesn't have any power. Yes, she has magical powers, but like to reign politically and to like force change upon anything, she doesn't have any power.
True.
So having making your opinion up about someone, it does benefit to have a backstory. But when somebody is making political decision, is making legislation, I don't really give a fuck what your backstory is if you're taking away people's rights.
Sure.
Because sometimes your backstory is just that you're problematic.
You're not a nice person.
And now someone gave you power that you shouldn't have.
You're not a nice person with power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know what I mean?
And that's unfortunate that it happens a lot. I'm just going to say that. It happens a lot in politics.
It happens everywhere.
I don't think Bill Clinton was a good guy. Sorry.
Well,
and he was on the Democratic side of history. I don't think he was a good guy. He was also an adulteress. He was really grimy. He took his position of power and he was fucking gross with it.
Yep.
And I don't like you for that.
Yep.
I'm allowed to say that. Mm-hmm. I think he's gross.
I like some of the policies you put in place.
Women.
However, I don't like other things.
I think the way that you handled yourself in office was gross a little bit.
Yucky.
And that's the thing is I don't feel this devotion to that party or to him that I can't say that. That's the thing I would like to challenge everybody to do. Be able to be like, I would vote for this person, But I think that was gross.
Yeah.
I don't think I liked that at all. And that's it. That's all I ask is like, have that amount of balance in your brain to be able to think critically and not hold this blind devotion, because blind devotion when it comes to people in power is really scary.
Yes.
It's really scary.
Yes.
And we need to all be cognizant of that, because
that's how you can get people to do really yucky things for you without questioning it.
January 6th.
Well,
I mean, seriously, like things like that is what made me so scared for this next round.
Well, taking this back to Wicked, you see that people had feelings about Elphaba, but why? It wasn't because she had done anything. It was just because of how she looked.
Yeah.
And then it took one person to show kindness and acceptance, and then everyone was like, okay, they were down with it. Not a problem. They're all cheering her on as she leaves to go meet the wizard.
Yes.
But the second they say she's an enemy now,
it's like
they all turn.
It was that easy.
It was that easy for you to forget who she was to you and what she represents.
Yeah.
And how she showed up for you guys. It was that easy for you to turn because you had so much blind devotion to someone.
And that's scary that you gave anyone that power over your own mind.
Right.
Even Glenda, whoever told you that she was a good person, it's crazy that you let. And that's why I'm saying, if anybody listens to us, I never want to be a person that you listen wholeheartedly to and you don't challenge us. At least a little bit. You don't have to be a fucking dick about it. Listen, you be nice about it. But you shouldn't. You shouldn't listen to anybody and not question things, even if it's in your own mind.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody have that amount of control over you. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because that's scary. But it's even the scariness is heightened when that person holds such a high position of power.
Yep.
It's just something that's I'm glad they highlighted it.
Yeah.
And that I think it'll be even more highlighted in the next movie. I can't fucking wait for the next movie.
I don't know how anybody could. I'm very curious if you watch
this. They don't get fucking Oscars for this shit.
Oh,
or Grammys, all of it.
That was
they better sweep it both.
That was the goal of this.
They
were wanting to fucking.
That was
sweep the Oscars.
Cinematic masterpiece that I don't think I've seen in a very long time. For real.
The work that they put into the sets and stuff.
The visual. Let's say you don't even fuck with politics and you just want to see it. Audibly and visually, it's so appealing.
Top tier.
It's so appealing. It's so beautiful. And let me just hit on one more part. The beginning part, No One Mourns the Wicked.
Yep.
That fucking song got me right off the bat because I knew a little bit of the backstory from reading the book that she didn't actually feel the way that she was trying to portray that she felt about Elphaba being the Wicked Witch was dead or whatever.
Yeah.
And so watching them just all be like, again, it's just this
celebrating
blind, like, we're not questioning it. She was evil. She was wicked. We hate her.
Yep.
She's dead. There's no nuance.
Yep.
There's no what's that fucking word that I'm trying to think of? Like ambiguity, kind of. There's no middle course. It's all or nothing.
Yeah.
There's no gray area.
Right.
She's evil or she's not. And we don't celebrate her if she was. Like,
we've all collectively agreed that
she's evil. And no one mourns the wicked.
Right.
And it's so sad because it's like it erases her whole.
Yeah.
This is another thing I'm going to get weirdly political about, but
I'm very curious if you didn't pick up on the political undertones of it.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't get that, what'd you get from it?
Right.
and this is me genuinely asking because I know we all consume media through the lens in which we view the world through based on our own experiences. And so mine is very heavily, impacted by politics.
Sure.
So those of you who don't feel that way or maybe have a different connection to it, what is it?
Yeah.
I do want to know.
Well, that reminds me because Jodi Picoult, my favorite author, someone tagged me in her TikTok that she made where she was like, people are upset that I'm talking about politics. They told me, shut up about politics and stick to my books. So here's my books. This is my book about trans rights. This is my book about a school shooting. This is my book about eugenics. Yep. This is my book about racism in America. This is my book about income inequality. This is my book about the death penalty. Like, she just started fucking going off and it was so good. But It also impacted how I grew up. She writes in a very, and the thing that I was going to say there about the No One Mourns the Wicked is one of her books that she writes is about a school shooting. It's called 19 Minutes. Highly recommended to anybody who wants to read. I read it once as a high schooler when it first came out. I think it came out in 2008, 2009. So I read it in high school. I read it again as an adult. Very different experiences. As somebody who was in high school at the time, because it's about a high school shooting. And then someone who had a child after. And you kind of, it is a way to, you almost sympathize with the school shooter. It's a complex book. You're going to feel a lot of feelings where you're like, I don't, because you also sympathize with she does it in different person's point of views. So you get the full story. And it's hard. You feel like a weird, that's what No One Mourns the Wicked felt like to me, where I'm like, life is so much more complex than black and white. It's so gray in so many areas and different shades of gray. So that's the thing. There is no, it's hard to just say
it's
him
not
bad,
absolute.
She's good, she's bad, him good. When it comes to all of these things, like I think that there's so much more nuance in the world, and we've gotten too comfortable with being like, this is a sports team. My team wins, your team sucks. My team wins, your team sucks. And there's no like critical thinking or asking questions or deeper level of thought on things that have such an impact on our daily lives. It's just.
No, I agree.
Okay. That's all.
I agree. I think that's why whenever I was talking, just like because we have these conversations outside of this couch. We have these conversations with family members, with friends. We make people very uncomfortable in our day-to-day life.
We don't mean to, but it happens.
Shying away from these conversations because they're important. As important as it is for us to sit on the couch and put this out into the internet, it's equally important for us to have these conversations with people in our day-to-day lives. And when people were talking to me about the Black Lives Matter movement, they wanted to give me all kinds of reasons as to why cops were valid or why they should be allowed to say all lives matter or blue lives matter and all of these things. And that's when I have to go back to what you're doing in those moments is you are reinforcing the villainization of marginalized people. And you are reinforcing this idea that no one mourns the wicked. That the world will keep moving and it doesn't matter because there are certain people, there are certain groups, there's certain things that are just inherently bad and we don't give a fuck about it because we're better off without them.
Hey, it's why we had to change, and I think we should change from saying prostitute to sex worker because no one mourns the wicked. It's why, I mean, it's
changing sports teams' names.
Yes. It's just this idea of like, here's the thing that people don't understand as well. When we're saying like the enemy of your enemy, the thing that's the problem is there's a power dynamic. So when you're making an enemy of a person who already
is marginalized,
has no power, none, that's a problem. That's bad. That's gross. That's yucky. Like, fighting against people who are in power is good because they already hold the power. You should challenge the people in power. You got to keep it in
check.
There needs to be a checks and balances. Checking the people, fighting the people, immigrants, women, LGBTQ. Anybody, people of color. When you're fighting against them, when they become your enemy, they already hold no power. There's zero power dynamic in this country for them.
You are just making it okay for bad things to keep happening to them.
And you to turn a blind eye and that be okay. Because in your mind, you're justifying now, they deserve it because XYZ.
Because they're wicked.
And no one mourns the wicked.
That could make me cry.
I know, dude. That's what I was thinking about the whole point of the first part of the movie.
So fucking sad. Because there's people who have lost their lives and probably think, no one's going to care. No, this isn't going to change anything. It hasn't changed in how many years?
How many people, and not that I'm calling them wicked at all, but it's because it's not the case, but how many missing and murdered Indigenous women in this fucking country went unnoticed, nobody was talking about them on the news. Nobody was caring to find them. Why?
Savages. That's why. and no one mourns the wicked.
It all boiled down to something that happened however many years ago when they decided to make an enemy of my enemy.
Yep.
And now we're friends.
I needed to pick someone to blame for this.
This is the collective bad group.
Well, that's the thing is we had to create, and this is where whitewashing is important to highlight in history.
I know people are going to be like, oh, you get political every episode. Guys, this is important. I'm sorry. This is really important.
It is.
And it's not just us trying to sit on our high horses. This is a conversation that I think needs to happen. It's really, really important.
And it's hard to talk about this musical without talking about because I think it's doing an injustice to the writer of the book.
I agree.
The writer of the musical and every single person who has stepped on that stage to retell the story. I think it is inauthentic to them if we don't tell it in its
entirety and we just talk about the silly, goofy costumes.
How beautiful the songs are.
Songs. Yeah.
Yes. Because
it's not the message behind it.
Right. It's doing a complete disservice to all of the advocacy of the piece.
Yeah. That's what art is.
Yes.
Art believe it or
protest.
Not, art is protest, and it has been for fucking years.
Yep.
So if you're going to consume art, if you're going to consume us entertainment, you have to know there's usually a message behind it. It's not just silly poo poo pee pee all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the reason that people don't want it to be political is because then it makes them feel bad.
A certain way.
It makes them feel guilty. It makes them feel. But here's the thing is like, you don't know what you don't know. And it doesn't click until it clicks. And so if you felt a certain way and now you hear this and you can see it through a different lens and you can see this piece of art that you find beautiful and touches your own story. It's kind of like, I forget when we talked about this, but if you picture somebody, like we pictured the government as this like person who was negative to us in our personal life.
Yes.
Like, then maybe you can understand what it's like. Oh, it was the 3 A's episode.
Yeah.
Where, okay, maybe you don't understand what it's like to be marginalized, but you do understand what it's like to be othered and to be left out.
Or to be in an abusive situation.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you can put the face of that person who hurt you on the government, then you can understand how that marginalized person feels when the government is now doing to them what your abuser did to you.
Holding power over them. It's all control and power.
Yes. And so I this is just another opportunity for anyone to experience what othering can do.
Yes.
And what a fear of being othered can do. It can make you become a person that you don't really like.
Yeah.
It can make you join groups of people who don't align with your moral compass because of a fear of being othered.
Well, especially when one group is so, there seems like such an intense community behind it.
Yes.
And such like
they have the power.
Flags and you see, and there's now everybody at your school is wearing stuff, political things. And you're like, this is not something we ever used to do. I'm in Ohio. I'm dead serious. It's happening. It's just a fact. So I don't want anyone to think we're being mean to anybody. I'm just using things that have come out of someone's own mouth and what they've said. Anybody who holds that power, that's a scary power to wield.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Imbalance of power is scary and is something that should be looked at heavily all the time from everybody.
And I was going to bring that back to Wicked.
Please.
Because the one teacher lady.
Oh, she starts with an M, but I can't remember.
Marble or whatever.
Yeah.
Marble.
Morkel.
Marble. Whatever the fuck her name is.
Madam M.
She and the wizard were working together to get Elphaba to the wizard. Not because they value her, but because they wanted to use her.
Yes.
They wanted to use her power.
Yes.
They wanted to put her in a position
they could manipulate her
so that they could use her to get more control.
Yes.
And she stopped it. She put a stand and she said no. And she left and she was like, I'm absolutely not going to be used in that way. And I think that when we talk about this in relation to politics, it's just, we have seen so many people who have been adamant about, I don't like Trump. I don't like this man. But as soon as he got power, guess who all of a sudden flipped the script? And now they're like, oh, he's not that bad. And guess who wants a position in the cabinet? So they're going to start kissing his ass.
Yeah.
And it's just
Elon Musk.
Motherfucker.
I'm just kidding. You can block that out.
But
because he holds power, because he has money, and that's scary. That's scary.
And that's the thing. It's just Alphaba to me represents saying no, recognizing your own power within, and what it means to say no in the face
to people who hold actual power.
Yes,
that's very brave.
It's so
strong.
Brave.
It's brave. It's strong.
Because guess what? They don't have as much power as they claim to have.
They don't. Because why would they need us?
Why would they need yours?
Why would they need us
if they
had as much as they think they do?
Right. So
just recognize your own power.
Take your power.
Trust yourself. Think critically, and don't stop questioning things. It's important.
Yeah.
Don't give blind devotion to
allegiance.
People who don't deserve it.
Yes.
And that's including us, please.
Yeah. But don't be dicks about it.
Don't be mean. It's okay. You could be nice.
With us. I mean, if you want to be a dick to someone else.
That's what I'm not your fucking parent.
Anyway.
Like, I will yell at you if you be mean to me. I'm going to match that energy.
I will, and I don't want to, so don't start it.
Please, I'm trying to heal.
Let me heal in peace.
For the love of God.
So far, we can end on this. What's your favorite Wicked song?
Popular.
Is it?
I really do like it. I don't know why. I think it's silly, and I think that's why I like it. I like Ariana's take.
Yes.
My favorite part was, did they have brains or knowledge? Don't make me laugh. They were popular. Right. So funny. I like a silly song.
Yeah,
I know you probably like Defying Gravity, but that one made me feel too many feelings.
I like a belty song. I really do.
Well, that one made me feel too much. And there was that moment where she saw herself as a child. I was like, now I'm bawling.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to feel this much in this theater now.
I like Defying Gravity, and I also like The Wizard and I, because
I think The Wizard and I is great as well.
I love that there's so much hope in it.
I also really love No One Mourns the Wicked, only because I think that people don't understand the nuance. When you watch it the second time through, I think it would hit harder.
Yes.
Because you really know the story behind it. So I think No One Mourns the Wicked was a really good song.
Interesting. Well, tell us in the comments below, what's your favorite Wicked song? Was it in the movie, or is it going to be in part 2?
Fun fact about trivia before we go.
Okay.
Ariana, Glinda's, the songs she sings the highest notes on are when she's being the fakest, apparently. When she's not being as realistic, if you go back and look at it, the songs where she belts at her like
chest
lowest, are the songs where she's the most authentic. But if she's high notes, yes, it's where she's being inauthentic.
Interesting.
Just a little trivia I learned on IMDb.
Well, fun. All right. How high do you sing when you're inauthentic? Leave your note in the comments below. B flat. Anyway,
amazing.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Sorry. And also, sorry.
Yeah.
All right. We love you so much. And we'll see you next week.
All right.
We're out.
Goodbye.